be heard. Seasons and shadows be meeting. Marvel, silk and unravel, mighty.
So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, great. We're experimenting with our lunchtime curiosity call here. So it's great to have you join us, and welcome to everyone that's listening to the recording here, watching the recording. Great that we can cross time zones and connect with you post call as well. So yeah. Lovely. And yeah, let's start with some gratitude, because that's always nice to take a breath and enjoy and appreciate. So if you'd like to put something you're grateful for in the chat, I'm grateful for the strawberries and the raspberries that I had. I went picking amongst trying to get the raspberries out from the nettles, and so I got a bit of nettle medicine as well this morning while I was picking the raspberries. So I'm grateful for the berries and the fruits and the harvesting, and yeah, all of the growth that we've been experiencing over the last few months, that that then we're reaping the benefits of now. So that's my gratitude. Leona, would you like to share some gratitude and start us off?
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Leona. Whilst you're writing your gratitudes in the chat, I am really grateful for my body today. I've been out for the last 2 days with a group of teenage with my son's class, taking them on adventures into the North Yorkshire countryside, swimming in rivers and underneath waterfalls, and seeing them leap off quite scary precipices and walking up and around Malham Cove, which, if you know, it's just a beautiful land, really interesting land formation. And yeah, my body has been well used and has carried me beautifully, but I'm feeling it today. I'm feeling exhausted but happy and nourished, and always grateful to feel my body, be in my body, and to use it well. Feels like that's what we're made for transporting ourselves over uneven ground and being out in the wild and playing, which there was a lot of that going on with these young teens. So yeah, that's my gratitude for today. Nice to read some of your gratitudes. Facilia and pollinators. Celia, I don't know that. Is that a bush or a flower?
It's got beautiful purple flowers, and it's like used as a green manure, and it's yeah, we've got it self seeds every year here, and the bees absolutely love it, and yeah, other insects as well. So it's great. Yeah, and it's really beautiful purple.
Grateful for glimpses of sunshine, blackbirds everywhere, and berries for breakfast too. Yes. And Claire said she's grateful for Susie, Hannah, and Mike at Carrigdora for allowing her to experience PDC. Maureen, in gratitude for friends helping her out with poorly husband. Yeah, we definitely need those connections, don't we? That support of each other, and to remember, I guess, as well, the small things and the big things that make our lives more alive and enable us to live as we do. So yeah, thank you for sharing your gratitudes. This call is going to be around an hour long. Looby and I'll share a little bit about ourselves and about Cultural Emergence, and throughout the space for questions. And but if you have a question, you think of a question whilst we're speaking, then do feel free to put it in the chat so that we don't forget it. I think it's clear, but we are recording this so that if there's anybody who signed up for the call that couldn't make it, they'll get a recording for it and it'll go on the website as well. So yeah, thank you. Welcome if you've just joined. It'd be nice, just because I need it. I wonder if you would too, to just have a little moment of grounding ourselves into our bodies. Maybe noticing how you're sitting. Are you sitting in a good way that's, you know, as long as you're comfortable, it's good enough for now. Noticing and feeling my feet on the ground. Feel free to close your eyes if it feels good. Just allow yourself to come into your body, letting go of whatever's gone before, enabling yourself to be present here in this moment, gathering to share with others who are curious about cultural emergence. What does that mean? Just connecting to your body, your feet, your knees, your hips. Then you relax them. Noticing your belly, your chest, and your back. Is there a way that you could make that more relaxed? Noticing your shoulders and your elbows and your hands. Noticing your neck. Noticing your face. The back of your head. The crown of your head. And just seeing if you can notice the feeling of the skin around your eyes. Can you allow the skin around your eyes to just relax a little bit more than it was before? And take a deep breath, or a few. Just connecting to the air, the oxygen. It's always around us, connecting us to everything else. Maybe just before we open our eyes, or as we open our eyes, just stretching it up and giving yourself just a little moment to stretch out and feel yourself. Yeah, welcome. So,
that was really lovely, Leona. Thank you. Yeah, it's good to come into our bodies, and one of the things that John Young says about peacemaking is that we need to become familiar with the felt sense of peace. So not in our head what we imagine peace to be, but what it actually feels like for ourselves in our bodies, and then to be able to keep coming back to that space and acting from that space, that felt sense of peace, which is quite a kind of a shift maybe from thinking of peacemaking as being tactical or something that happens like in our brains. It happens first in our bodies, and that's what, you know, one of the things that we do on the courses, particularly the peace course. We have a whole week of really feeling that that sense of peace in our bodies, but on all of the courses coming into that felt sense of peace. So thank you, Leona, for bringing that in. Computer slightly not appreciating the sun as much as I am. Shade it there. Yeah, so I'm Looby Macnamara. For those of you that don't know yet, I know there's some faces and people names that I recognise here, some from emails and some in real life, and some people that are totally new here. So we thought we'd introduce ourselves. So I'm Looby Macnamara. I am the author of Cultural Emergence. I wrote this. The toolkit was developed in collaboration with John Young over in the States. Wrote this, which came out in 2020 and has become, or is becoming, a global movement of change makers, which is just really beautiful to watch how engaged people are becoming with cultural emergence and how they're creating their own stories with the toolkit. And I'm also at Applewood Permaculture Centre, so it's my home in North Herefordshire, and this is where I have the delight of inviting groups of people to come and share the magic and beauty here. Yeah, hashtag Applewood Magic as our slogan, because there's always magic that happens here. We have 20 acres, and there's we say that the land here and all the beings here are like the extra facilitator and the most wise facilitator of the group. So we're really blessed to be here. And Leona, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Sorry, I was on mute. Hi, so yes, I'm Leona Johnson. I am, what am I? I'm an ecotherapist. I work with people in nature in order to support us to find a deeper connection with our felt sense of being an interconnected being, with that radical interconnectedness of all life, and do mentoring. I run and facilitate rites of passage. I run an organisation called Live Wild, which is a nature-based organisation that runs foraging courses and nature mentoring, and we do singing in the wild. I'm a singing facilitator and I love singing a lot. That's one of the ways that I've deeply healed and come into connection with elements and phases and life cycles and myself and my own voice. And I am one of the facilitators for one of the Cultural Emergence courses, which is the Peace Programme, Peace Empowerment and Cultural Emergence. And Looby and I have known each other for a while. Looby always inspired me from before I knew her, because I've always been passionate about connection, about people. I used to be a social worker, and I saw in inner city, downtown, central Manchester, the many ways in which we were all so disconnected, including myself. Really spent my 20s grasping, trying to find ways to feel a sense of purpose and belonging, and I really didn't understand. I felt like, I didn't know if it was just me or if it was going on everywhere, but I knew from being a social worker that actually, we spent a long time searching for ways to bring myself and others back into a deeper sense of personal peace, and also a sense of connection and tools. That's what I felt was really missing, tools to understand our own processes and ways to communicate and ways to understand the world and ways to organize. So I've been, a frontline activist, I've been a therapist, I've done many things in search of what is the way that we can actually evolve in order to create the great turning, as Joanna Macy would say, in order to be part of that and not just watch life pass us by. How can we be more intentional? And that brought me to the work of Cultural Emergence. And a few years ago, I arrived at Applewood for the first time with my children, and we had a really beautiful connective time there, spending most of it in the lake, actually dragging out pondweed and and filling a little rowboat with boats and boats and boats of pondweed we must have got out of the lake at that point. But yeah, just really enjoying the beauty and the liberation actually from in being somewhere where you can't hear any of the vehicles. You're not, you know, there's not aeroplanes flying overhead. There's just a sense of really beautifully loved land, rewilded land that is there for and with people, humans, but as equally as it is for the other beings there. And yeah, since then I've been back a number of times and co-facilitated with Looby, and we've had a beautiful, you know, some beautiful transformational experiences holding groups of people who are interested in this growing movement for cultural emergence, which is for me a way that we can start to create the world of our longing. The one that we all know is there and possible because we've had glimpses of it, because we've chosen in our lives. I'm presuming because you're all here that you've sought out places and people who inspire you to live differently, because you know that there's something that needs to shift. And that's what being part of the cultural emergence community has really brought to me. It's brought me the tools and the skills, helped to enhance the skills that I already have, and helped me to be part of something that feels huge. So that's just a little introduction to me and my passion. So it's always really nice to start to build those webs of connection to all of you others who I know must be doing things in your lives that spark the interest of cultural emergence.
Keep talking for a minute, Leona, because I need to move.
Okay. So yeah, I think what's interesting about the three parts of cultural emergence is that in some ways what I found is, through looking from the first time I looked at the cultural emergence book, was that actually a lot of it wasn't rocket science. You know, we all have the tools, but we don't necessarily create the space to implement what we know would help us to live better lives. For me, you know, I'm a single parent. I was under a lot of pressure of time and to make money, and I needed need to do certain things in order to do that. And I think that the way our society is set up demands that of us, demands that we do certain things in order to survive, really, in order to maintain a lifestyle that's one that we are willing to tolerate. But I think that's becoming increasingly more difficult. And the more we understand about our food systems, about the destruction and chemicals and to the soils and the air, and the more that we see, you know, wars around the world, and even in our own backyards, you know, our towns, people struggling to find a sense of connection, you know, with loneliness rising and mental health problems rising. I think, you know, it's very clear that we need a different way. So that's what, for me, is what's exciting about cultural emergence. It's not one thing. It's like a map that encompasses everybody who wants to be part of it through their own skill and their own skill base. And it's a way that we can think differently in order to be different. And so yeah, I know Looby will tell you more now about the whole route of cultural. For those who don't know.
I will do. Before there's many aspects, and one of the key aspects, which is particularly what John Young has brought to cultural emergence, is about nature connection. And I wanted to share with you a little story from this week, I've been putting the toolkit from a book into visual form, and which will be the card deck. It will also be in the form of a colouring book and downloadable resources. So I'm just about to release or re-release the colouring book as well. And so I was playing with one of the images for the presence in the process principle, which is a red kite. And on Sunday evening, I was in the studio, and I was really focused on this red kite, and I was watching a YouTube video and then looking at pictures and really focused. And then I heard this like mewing, this high-pitched mewing outside, and I was like, oh, is that buzzard? Is that a kite? And I looked out the window, but I couldn't see anything. And then later at dinner time, my partner said to me, did you see that red kite earlier? And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, it was exceptionally low and exceptionally loud, right above like our courtyard, just between the house and the studio. And it was circling around there for ages and calling really loudly. And to put that in some perspective, we didn't there was red kites usually like on the next valley along, but not above Applewood. This year we've had a few above Applewood, but never really above this area, never that low. So I was just like blown away when I was just like, oh, I've just literally, as I was, fully engrossed in red kites, this had this beautiful connection that they somehow, it's like the nature is the mirror, but it's not just a mirror, it's also in conversation. I think that's what I've discovered through the nature connection practices that I've been doing over the last 7 years, that with the Cultural Emergence Toolkit and what John's brought is just that way in experiencing nature as if it was a friend that I was in conversation with, or a group of friends that I'm in conversation with. So yeah, it's hard to know. We moved in at Applewood at exactly the same time as Cultural Emergence came into being. So it's hard to know whether it's being at Applewood or Cultural Emergence, or it's untangleable, but they're both influencing how I experience Cultural Emergence. Yeah. Yeah, so just do you want to say something, Leona, while I just find my mandala? Sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking about it a lot this week and the last few weeks, how powerful my process has become in being present, thanks to the tools of Cultural Emergence, and feeling like days whenever I would have thought, oh my God, that would have been the day from hell, are actually a series of events now, in which, because I'm living with so much more presence than I ever was, I'm able to turn each problem into a project, and how much more balanced I am, and how many more tools I have to respond, both in the way I parent and in the way I respond to life. And I had a very beautiful experience recently. It's been very hot here. I live in the north of England, and it's been exceptionally hot for most of May and June. And I have a van, and I spent a few weeks just each evening just driving out to a local beauty spot and sleeping out in my van with the doors open, just so that I'm more in nature, and less in my stuffy hot house. And it also so that I could get up straight away in the morning and just go straight outside and walk into this nature reserve. Or I'm already in it, but walk in the nature reserve. And I sat with my feet in the water, and I just had this moment of total clarity and understanding about connection matters, about matters of connection, and what I felt was needed. And it came from an intention process that I'd set a few days before around finding clarity and purpose in the work that I do, and I had this beautiful download. And the first thing I did was go back to my van with these big pieces of paper and wrote it all onto the Cultural Emergence map, which and the design web, which has all of the ways of thinking that when your brain has all this information, it's not linear, you know, it's never linear, and we can do it so that it actually brings about an evolution even in the moment of where we can go with this. And I was so excited, and I wrote it all down using the design web, and then I drove off to get my hair cut. And as soon as I stopped the vehicle, I'd already written all the people, all the helps, all the potential people who might help with this project, but I didn't write down 2 people, which I might have done. But I opened the door of the van to get out, and the 2 people who were just the perfect people for this project just walked along. And I just thought, do you know, the synchronicity and the magic that occurs when you actually set intention, you really open yourself to the possibility of how to say it in a way that you know, I want it, you know, we all have our own belief systems about the universe and about information and about where our intuition comes from, whether it's from within or and we just create the circumstances for us to feel really grounded, or whether or not we're receiving other information from life and from the universe and from the trees and the stream and all of that. But yeah, it was a moment anyway. It was definitely one of those moments, aha moments, and then continued through the next huge synchronicity of meeting the exact people that I needed to meet, who had the skills and the availability and the passion for the Connection Matters project. So yeah, just wanted to share that. So a slightly longer story there, but it's so entwined with the Cultural Emergence design web and my ability to not worry about the linear processes anymore, but trust in life and see the magic.
Yeah, thank you, Leona. That's beautiful, and it does lead us perfectly into showing you this non-linear map of the learning pathways. Because yeah, as Leona said, there is not linear. Life isn't linear, and our learning isn't linear, and our experiential integration of the toolkit is not linear either. And so when I was thinking about how to convey all the different parts of the Cultural Emergence toolkit, and that it's too much to absorb in one go. So I wanted to make it modular. They're like, which comes first, and they don't have an order. So what we've designed is 3 different modules that relate to the three phases of cultural emergence, and we've got the ACE course. Well, let's start with the Peace course actually, because we've been talking about that. So the Peace course, Peace, Empowerment and Cultural Emergence. I like my acronyms, and that's with the Nourish and Empower phase. So this is where we really embody connection practices, so connection to ourselves, connection to each other, connection to the more than human world, and weave those together so that we really experience it in our bodies first, and then have tools that support us to maintain that experiential feeling, so that it's not just like, well, we had a great time, but I'm now home and what do I do? It's like, okay, we had a great time and our bodies remember it, and we know how to get back to that place in our bodies, and we know how to share that and how to ripple that out. And so then we have the ACE course, which is the Activating Cultural Emergence course, which is connected with the Challenge and Awaken phase. And this is where we awaken to the possibilities, and we see the toolkit as a whole, and see how we can how we can explore our own personal culture to make changes. So we come into an understanding of emergence, deeper understanding of culture and how that actually relates to us, rather than this concept that's immutable outside of us. And then we have the seed course, which is the Cultural Emergence Effective Design, which is related to move and invigorate. And so that is where we go for the design web, and it's about designing our pathways forward. So it's like, okay, well, we've learned about culture and we've learned about nature connection, but what do we do with it all? How do we actually create the change, sustainable, regenerative change for ourselves? So we do that through the seed course, and through you making designs for ourselves, and use that then as a tool that's really embedded in our lives. So yeah, so those are the three pathways, and I'd love to invite you to put any questions in the chat that you have. You'll see that they come together to make seed of peace. And I'd also like to invite Emma, if you're willing to. Emma works with me, but has also come on all of those courses. So as a bonus for working with me, and to embed it in our work team culture as well, so that we're having the same understandings. But Emma, would you like to share a bit of your experience and your stories from doing the pathways?
Hi everyone, nice to see you all. I was sat outside in the sunshine for the first part of the call having my lunch, but I'm now indoors with better internet. Yeah, my journey started a few years ago now, when Looby convinced me I should go on the ACE course. I've been working for a while and was helping with promoting the courses, and I've been like, oh, I don't need to learn, I don't know. And then I went on it, and it was such a profound experience to kind of dive in to my own connection to culture and myself through the ACE course, and also into nature. And to be at Applewood Learning, it's such a magical space up in the orchard, being with the apple trees. And it really helped me to refocus and reframe the way I looked at my life and how I created connection in what I do. And then later, I went on the Cultural Emergence Effective Design course, which was brilliant. I was very, very overexcited by it. Everyone, I was like, I'm using the design web. This is fantastic. I can design everything. I'm a designer. And yeah, I'm just as excited, but slightly less in your face about it now. But it was brilliant. I've been part of lots of projects and created lots of kind of things to happen and worked out how to do it, but I'd never realized that myself, my being, was at the center of the design. I'd never put myself in the design before, and using cultural emergence and the toolkit to actually think everything is connected, from what you're trying to create into the world, your experiences, nature, yourself, your own patterns and processes, and how they all affect how you can be effective in the world and what you can bring to life. So that was beautiful. And then getting deep into the peace course, I also did that one as well, fully there now. And yeah, kind of experiencing deep nature connection and really taking a moment to stop and to learn how to notice, how to be in nature, how to, like Looby would say, have those conversations with the natural world, or to be able to take a moment of peace and just breathe and be and calm the rest of the world down, so you can properly engage with yourself and notice how you're feeling and how you can behave differently in situations. And that was really, yeah, and really enjoyed learning from Looby and from John as well, with his moments and nuggets of wisdom that he brings to those courses. And yeah, and being at Applewood, I've been part of courses, I've helped facilitate a couple of courses, and I've also done cooking there. So I've been there on all levels, and each one brings a different kind of connection, and the space just holds you when you're there, and you can hear the bird song off in the trees. It almost feels like you're in a jungle in a far-flung place, but actually you're here in the UK, surrounded by nature, feeling exotic. It's good, it's really lovely. So yeah, there you go. That's a bit of my experience of it. But yeah, Cultural Emergence really has brought some good things for me.
Yeah, thank you, Emma. It's lovely to hear your experiences. Yeah, I wonder, Maureen, if you're there, if you'd like to chime in and share some of your experiences.
Yeah, I'm in my car at the moment, so I apologize if the sound is not great. Yeah, I did the ACE course last year, pretty much straight after the permaculture convergence, and capturing the words of what Emma was just saying, be anywhere. When you're at Applewood, you are like in the middle of nowhere. That's what really struck me, and to be really so out of connection with, you know, this reality of world and the cities and the light and the noise and just everything like that that's going on in everybody's lives. Is just being in the space is really, really nurturing. And then I really resonated with the way that you teach and share and include everybody, Looby. You just have such a lovely way of putting information across and really inviting people to just, I don't know, I can't find the words. It's really to invite people to just be with themselves on a much deeper level than they may have been before. And that really is the magic, I think, of your courses at Applewood. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Maureen. Yeah, lovely, lovely. And Emma and Maureen, you've yet to experience a course with Leona, but believe me, there's a reason why I've decided to and invited Leona to co-facilitate with me, because she totally brings the magic as well, for sure, in lots of deep, sacred, fun, joyful ways. Yeah, yes, I'd like to, and I'm glad, Maureen, you're coming back for the summer and the Peace course. I'm wondering if we want to open up to any questions now. We've been talking a lot, and I'm wondering what's what curiosity is bubbling. So if you'd like to either put something in the chat, or if you're feeling open to, opening your mic and asking the question, we'd love to hear from you.
I'm also curious to know what, if any, other people's experience of cultural emergence is already. You know, where you know, if you've just heard about it, if you've bought the book, if you know someone, you know, it's just interesting to know where it is that people are hearing about cultural emergence and what your experience is. Hi, Steve.
Thanks both. Yeah, where did I hear it from? I'm getting more and more connected or doing things with permaculture anyway. I've met a guy he's part of it, Ryan Sanford Blackburn, that you might know. He's in Belper, which is not that far from me. I'm going there on Saturday to do some training about perennial vegetables and stuff. I'm part of Extinction Rebellion, but mainly now as part of the Regenerative Cultures team. And so to me, there's a lot of links and crossovers with the feeling of it. And I'm just wondering if with the 3 courses that you've just mentioned, is it better to do them in any particular order? Or can you just jump into whichever one you feel drawn to?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, do you want to go, Leona?
I was just going to say, you know, no, it's the answer. So it isn't better to do in any particular order, but because, you know, again, as Looby's already said, you know, life isn't linear, and sometimes when something comes, you've just got to go for it. So if there's something that you know around, it might be a practical thing that you're available for these dates, but you're not available for those dates, then go for it, because the whole process is cyclical, you know. And there are even some people who are coming back again because they found it to be so nourishing and want to come back and and it's almost coming the next rung round on the spiral in order to deepen and deepen, and that's what the whole process brings. I did pose the question last time that I'm really curious. It'd be nice to do some research to find out what difference there is in people's experience depending on where they started on the journey, you know, but it's been designed in such a way that, yeah, you'll slot in and feel at home at whichever point that you join.
Yeah, thanks. Emma says, come to whichever one is next. Don't wait to learn more, which is a good way of saying it. But yeah, I think go with your sense of curiosity and flow and synchronicity of like what aligns with you. And they all kind of contain elements of each other as well. So what happens is that so maybe you come on the Peace course, for example, and you go deep into nature connection, and then you come on the ACE course, and then the ACE course then relates to cultural awareness, and then you can relate it back to, okay, how is my personal culture relating to nature connection? So it weaves in, and they build and they integrate with each other. And so it's you know, even though I've done many of each of those courses, every time I come to it, I learn more and I integrate more and I deepen the lessons. And another question from you there, Steve, of should I wait to do the PDC first? And I would say no, you don't need to. The Cultural Emergence Toolkit is independent of the permaculture toolkit, but they are related. And I have been teaching permaculture for the last 20 years, so permaculture is embedded, but it's also its own thing. If you kind of imagine permaculture as like the parent and cultural emergence the child that has its own independent life, but is related. Yeah. Pernille's asked, she says, hello everyone, curious because Skyjin from Denmark can't stop talking about it. Yeah, she came here on the teach training and is here in a couple of yeah, have a very superficial connection to nature and think there must be more. Where do I start? The books are so thick. Yeah, I do agree that the book is thick. I suggest that you just open it and find a principle maybe at the back. Go through it one page at a time. Just open it randomly and see how that connects with you intuitively. You know, maybe you ask a question and find open it and see what comes and see how that resonates with you. So yeah, I am aware that that the books are thick, and I'll talk a bit moment about the card deck as well, because that's coming.
I would also say though, Pernille, if you're aware that your connection to nature is quite superficial, and that seems like an area that you'd like to focus on, then an experiential program would be perfect, because what happens during something like the Peace course is that you become so embodied that nature, I know it's said a lot now in these circles that we are nature and we're not separate from nature, but it's hard to believe that sometimes when we live on concrete streets and in houses with lights that we just flick on and off and things like that. But the Peace course is there to bring that inside, the connection, and from that experience you will feel a lot more connected in everything that you do. And that is the intention, because we know that that's what so many people's experience is like, yes, I know nature's important. Yes, I like it. Yes, I've had some nice experiences in it, but that's very different thing to feeling the oneness that we can feel. And throughout the Peace program, during that week, we do a lot of different guided experiences that support us in the cultural routines that you might then go on to use in your everyday life outside of the program, and also that you might share with others outside of the program. And then And furthermore, there will be time for you to have your own deep immersion experience. So for example, last year we did an overnight solo experience where people got to we held it in a certain way where we prepared our individual spot throughout the day, and people then in the evening, as the sunset was about to come upon us, people went off into a spot that they prepared and slept for the night alone in the beautiful safe land of Applewood, which was really lovely. And for those who weren't comfortable going so far away, they were, they could be quite near to where we were, but Looby and I and we were there at the time. We were there in the base camp, to be an anchor for people. And then in the morning after sunrise, people came back and shared their stories, their experiences, what they heard and saw and dreamt about. And it was a very powerful, we call that a nature quest. It's a really beautiful, powerful experience as a way of deepening your own connection to nature. And it can bring up all sorts of stuff, but we're used to holding that and exploring that and supporting people to explore that themselves. And just to say, everything that we do is always it's always an offering or an opportunity to explore. None of it is none of it's compulsory. So if that doesn't if something that you might do all the time, or it's definitely something you don't ever want to do, then all of it is about us finding a way together, which any group culture should support, to create an experience that is going to meet an edge in a good way and not push you over it. I don't know if you want to add to that, Looby, or if anybody's got any other questions.
Yeah, thanks. Well, there's another question here from Andrew about explaining the differences between the different courses and what each one is targeting. So the peace course is very much experiential embodiment of the tools of connection, and so how we can then ripple those out in our lives. The ACE course is very much looking at the kind of the bigger picture of Cultural Emergence Toolkit, and it's a bit more heady, a bit more sort of like thinking, okay, what is culture, what is emergence? It does bring in the body as well, but there's a bit more head in there. And then the seed course is around using the design web and integrating it and making a design for yourself in your own lives. Well, I would say making a design for yourself, but it's actually learning the design web to make many designs for yourself. Actually, it's not just about here's my one life design, full stop. It's about, this is a tool that I can use again and again and again. So yeah, that's there. Mel's just said she did the seed course online, and the magic that was woven in that community was awe-inspiring. Can only imagine that an in-person course would be equally, if not more, outstanding. So much gratitude to the seed that's been sown in my life through the work that you and your team do, Looby. Thank you very much, Mel. And Emily, I'm very connected to nature and live on a permaculture farm. I'd like to learn planning tools and connecting with like-minded people. Yeah, so I don't think there's a point at which you can say I've had enough nature connection, I don't need any more. But it might be that your needs are more around the ACE course and kind of more relating to what is the culture of your permaculture farm and how to kind of articulate that to other people so that they can engage in a way that is peaceful there as well. So yeah, I picked a few principles for us just to so you've got something to kind of take away and chew on and see. So these are the new cards, the original pictures. So I picked this one, which is tend to your personal culture. Nurture and cultivate your culture. You're a cross-pollinator between cultures. Become a conscious culture creator. and weed out negative conditioning. So yeah, while I'm reading this, just thinking maybe one of these, maybe not all of them, relate to your life. I wonder, Leona, could you put the titles of them in the chat while I just the titles? So that one was Tend to Your Personal Culture. And I just chose these kind of at random, to thinking of this call and maybe one of them resonates with you and you can take that away. So this one is respond to life, sense shifting energies, dance and flow, pay attention to what is real. And the third one that I chose is this one, which is move the tools, show up and see what emerges. Movement invites flow and release. Create a pathway for imagination to meet the material world. So yeah, there may be one of those principles just activated some neurons or some feelings in your body, and so you can take that away and see what happens with it. Because what I find with the principles is that sometimes they immediately spark an aha moment, and it's just like, oh yes, okay, and then the other times they take a while, and they sort of it's like there might be something that comes up later or later in the day when you're like, oh, I really want to do this, I just need to move the tools. It's like, this is like, you know, I'm not a painter by just having a load of paintbrushes. I'm a painter when I actually move the tools. Or the same with being a gardener or a musician or anything. It's actually doing the work and showing up and seeing what emerges. That's the magic in it. Yeah.
I can speak to one of them. I know, Tend to Your Personal Culture. I knew for me, after I did my first fire quest, how transformational it had been. And I knew that I really wanted others in my life to experience it. So I created a program. Have done the training, but I created the program really because I wanted my own children to experience a rite of passage. And what's happened from that, and through working with the design web, and the cross, how do they call it in Tend to Your Personal Culture? It's the cross-pollination of cultures. And what's been really great is that some of the people who did one of our Fire Quest programs here in the north then attended the Peace course last August, and then some of the people from the Peace course last August came to the next Fire Quest program up here in the north. And what's happening is that we are creating new cultural routines together, and people are cross-pollinating themselves through what's on offer, not only with the Fire Quest course and the Cultural Emergence, but obviously through permaculture and through the H Shields network and John Young's work now with his circles. And yeah, it's really exciting to see that actually people are seeing, we are all seeing that there is a way forward, and that these tools are enriching and we can create change. So I love, and all started to me tending to my personal culture, really showing up for myself, and doing what I knew was going to help me feel good and connected.
Yeah, thanks, Leona. And I think that one of my the big visions for Cultural Emergence is that it becomes like this mycelium that connects networks of change makers. So it's not just about connecting change makers, but networks of change makers. So the ones that working with work that reconnects, or non-violent communication, or Steve with XR, or so it's, you know, it's actually becoming a language that connects all these networks of change makers, because that's where we get this emergent level of change, this like quantum leap, which is what is needed at the moment on the planet. So Yeah, and Virginia, you had a question. Yeah, the difference between the online seed and it's actually in August we've got the Peace course. So the Peace course is very much an embodied experience of nature connection, really discovering layers of ourselves and our own beings, and working out how to integrate that felt sense of peace in our own lives. And the seed course is more about creating a design for yourself in your own life, which we'll be doing that, the seed course again next year, but they all overlap and integrate with each other. Yeah, well, that's yeah, we've covered a lot of ground. I'm feeling inspired, and I would like to share a song to close with. But before I go, just I'll put in the chat, or before I sing the song rather, I'll put in the chat the ways, there's different ways to engage with the Cultural Emergence Toolkit. We've got courses, the book, card deck coming, and very soon we'll be releasing the digital creativity package. There's also an online free taster course, and I put in the chat all the dates of the courses coming up, because we've also, as well as the Cultural Emergence one, got an advanced design course which has a couple of places left, and in September, Mothers as Natural Leaders. So yeah, lots of different ways to engage in. So if you know, some of you will be able to make it to Applewood, some of you would like to learn online, some of you would like to learn through the book. So there's, you know, we're reaching out in many different ways, because we know that people have different ways of learning and different opportunities as well. Yeah. Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you, Michael. Yeah, and I think I put the link in. I'll put the link in actually of where you can get my books, which is direct from here, and signed by me as well. Great. So let's everyone just take a deep breath, and I usually lean into Leona for sharing a song, but I'm going to be sharing this song at the Resurgence Summer Camp this weekend. So I wanted a practice run here, and I did do my song leader training last year. So, but this is a song that I actually learned through Leona, and it's a song by Penny Stone. And maybe Leona, you could put Penny's website in the chat as well. So the great thing about online singing is that you're in the comfort of your own home, and it's like a duet with me. We'll all stay muted because Zoom doesn't quite yet work with the outer sync, so you get to sing with me and in the comfort of your own home. So I'll do a line and then I'll invite you to repeat. It's called Seeds of Hope. Sow seeds of hope wherever you go. Sow seeds of hope wherever you go. Though some may fall on the thorny ground, though some may fall on the thorny ground, sow seeds of hope wherever you go. Sow seeds of hope wherever you go. Some seeds bound to grow taller than you ever could know. Some of the seeds bound to grow taller than you ever could know. All together now. Sow seeds of hope wherever you go. Though some may fall on the thorny ground, sow seeds of hope wherever you go. Some of the seeds bound to grow taller than you ever could know. Sow seeds of hope wherever you go. Though some may fall on the thorny ground, sow seeds of hope wherever you go. Some seeds bound to grow taller than you ever could know. Oh, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for thank you to Penny for that song. Thank you to Leona for teaching me that song and for being my wonderful collaborator. Thank you for Emma, Maureen, for sharing your stories, and yeah, thank you everyone for joining in. And I'll stop recording now, but if anyone needs to stay and ask me Leona something else, we'll hang around. Thank you everyone for who's been watching the recording. Really appreciate your time and attention.